As it is Halloween, I thought I'd do a special episode on Premier African Minerals. It is the scariest fucking thing that you're going to see today. So this is the video if you want to be scared out of your wits. This is the one for you. Welcome back everyone to Buy or Sell. Hope of course you're all well. We'll start off with some positive news, I guess. Premier African Minerals today has announced it is going to add a secondary flotation facility among all its fucking challenges that it's going to have. Well, first off, apologies for the setup. I just couldn't be bothered going down to the studio today. I did want to get this video out. There's been updates. It's just been in the back of my mind. We're chatting about it all the time in the Discord. If you want to get into the Discord and see what we're all saying, the links are down below. So what have we missed on the channel? They did their financial report at the 30th of September. Normally I would cover that. I didn't need to cover that. It's embarrassing to cover that. I'm so embarrassed by Premier African Minerals. All of our long holds, American Battery Technology, Codal Minerals, they're all friggin' flying. Never mind all the other stocks that we're invested in. Everything is booming. Spot prices are flying. And Premier African Minerals is at the rock bottom price. It is by far been the worst investment that I have ever, and I hope to God, likely to ever invest in. It's been a shit show. It's been a con man. It's everything. You've been led down the garden path. It's been an absolute shit show. No doubt about that. However, Graham Hill has come in and we're trying to give him a clean slate, and he's been given a raw deal here. He's a pile of machine that's just a rust bucket, doesn't work, and he has no money. They announced they had $29,000 in the last financial report. That is less money in the equivalent of pounds. That is less money than what I have invested in PREM. That blows my fucking mind. I have more cash invested in PREM than Premier African Minerals have in cash on the hip. Incredible, shockingly bad mismanagement. It truly blows my mind. It's a story that needs to be told to people. You have to be so careful with EM stocks. There's so much manipulation and so much shite out there. And honest to God, do not believe anybody on Facebook or any of these groups. See these groups that people to set up groups to specifically talk about a certain stock. I'm convinced they're either insiders, corrupt, or it's just all of that. Why would you do it? Don't believe anything that they lead. People lead you down the garden path, and I've got definitely victim with this one. I listened to people, and I shouldn't have done that. And it was a hard lesson. Unfortunately, I learned a very valuable lesson with Premier African Minerals. But I'm still in, still praying for a miracle, but I just don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I shared in the Discord the other day, it's been over nearly 2.5 years since I last put a penny in Premier African Minerals. I've got a tune of 20 grand in, so it sold a quarter. Glad I did. I think I took a grand out, or a grand and a half out, but it was equivalent to a 3.5 grand loss or some shit like that. And that would be more. It was like maybe a 60% loss or whatever. But either way, we should have took it all out. Could have took a 5 grand out and took a 15 grand loss or something. But look, it is what it is. I'm still investing in it, and I'm still hopeful that's going to turn around. But there's no way I'm going to look at news articles like we're going to add a secondary flotation facility. I'm not going to take that as a positive. It's a load of bollocks. It's been the same shit for years. The only thing that's being consistent is they come back to the well. They're looking for £6 million to put this right. Fucking blows my mind, man. They did a 10-for-1 reverse stock split. People were bullish about that. That's not a bullish thing. That's a really shit thing. If a company's that badly managed that they need to try and massage things and make it look more attractive because the share count got absolutely ridiculous, it's not a bullish thing. It makes no difference to anything in terms of us as long-term shareholders. The only glimmer of positivity, if you want to say that, is potentially insiders looking in will go, oh, it looks a bit more attractive now because there's like less zeros at the end of the digits. But realistically, all you're trying to do here is lure more people down off of this shit show. And I just feel like I need to want the people to be straight honest. There is a high reward play here. It very well could turn around, and I am still invested in it. And where am I at in terms of likelihood of it? I'm probably sitting with about, purely based on Graham Hill's credentials, and not that we know that too well. We did a deep dive into it in the video. You can go in and check it. Who is Graham Hill? We went into it, looked at all his history and his LinkedIn, and look, he is somebody in the space that seems to have a good proven track record, but I don't believe anything anymore. That could easily be that he's been booted out of all these companies and he's just put that in. We don't freaking know anything anymore. I don't trust anybody. But really, if we take that at face value, like we took everything with PREM as now as face value, it looks positive. He could turn this around very much so. So based on that, I would say we have about a 20% chance of this turning around. I also believe in the next year, if the markets turn around, if we go into another bear market, it's over. PREM will not make it. Spot prices are increasing, which is very, very bullish. And I think if this, and the general sector, might I add, if you look at the lithium ETF, it's booming. The sector's booming. There's other companies that are booming. We've covered American Battery Technology. It's booming. Lithium Americans is booming. So the general space is starting to boom. And with that, just like with crypto, everyone buys Bitcoin and Ethereum and XRP, and then they start looking for the other high risky plays. The money will start filtering around, and Premier African Minerals will be, if they can survive and turn it around and pump out a few more RNSs like that or shit, they'll attract people, and you definitely could get a pump. So yeah, look, there is optimism, but I just like to make it very clear that this has just been a terrible trade and terrible play. But look, there were 20, 30 holes, but realistically should have been out of this play about 3 years ago and ran to the hills. But we're still in it, still enjoying it, still chatting about it in the Discord. A lot of people in Discord are optimistic, a lot of people that are upset, just want their money out or whatever. Everyone's got a different journey with it. The risks are what the risks are. There's no money, and they need to do work in the machine. If they can turn that around and get a reduction, there's plenty of money to be made. Your appetite to risk is the question you got to ask for. The GM's coming up here. They're asking for more money. I feel like, yeah, I think shareholders, me included, I have nothing to lose at this stage. I'm down like 98%. So it's like 15 grand or something. I've already sold 5. So 15 grand, 16 grand left. And it's worth about 600 quid. So at this stage, I'm all in. I'm just going to leave it, not buying anything until this turns around. But yeah, look, for GM, give Graham Hill the benefit of the doubt, give him a go, give him the back end to try and turn it around. The secondary flotation circuit, pumping pipelines, water mass, and all that horse shit, the recommendations that needs to get done is done. Whether the secondary flotation plant can be delivered, installed, and commissioned on time and performance expected, there's a risk with that. So even the solution that we have isn't fully a solution. Whether the existing plant can even be optimized and reach design capacities, or whether ongoing supplementation is needed, who the fuck knows. The company cash burn trajectory and whether follow-up capital will be required. Well, let's be honest, we're always looking for more money, so chances are there'll be a further dilution. So yeah, severe cash constraints, and we'll just have a quick look at the technical analysis. I don't even know why. As I said at the start of the video, we are at all-time lows. Horrible stock. You know, if you bought this stock back in December, when did it start on this chart anyway? Maybe, yeah. You're pretty much down on your money. If you bought into this for 10 years and you bought dollar cost averaged every month for 10 years, you would have your arse raw. That is all down to the commander-in-chief that has thankfully fucked off. That's George Roach's fault. That is by far one of the worst tenures I have ever seen as a CEO in my entire life. The scariest thing you will see this Halloween is George Roach's tenure. Unless he was always in it to make money for himself, and you know, he's a fan of the ladies in the night, and you know, the Colombian white, he's had a great time. If he's done all that and that was always his plan, then fair play to him. He's pulled off a stroke. But if his goal was to actually run a good company, he has had a horror show. Freddy Krueger looks better than this. This is shocking. But we're massively oversold, potentially for a rebound. The RSI is showing down, or the MACD, sorry, is potentially going to show a bit of a crossover. And then guess what? If we flip it to the 4-hour chart, we're crossing over because people are eating up 14% on this bullish news of the second flotation circuit or whatever bullshit that's coming out. We're getting excited about that. We've pumped 14%. Everyone's laughing again. The good times are never going to end. But realistically, this stock is not going to turn around until either it gets serious capital injection by some crazy person that goes, yeah, I want in, which is a possibility. They talked about selling everything. They talked about moving on. And I think that's the only way PREM will survive. It's a horse deal. Someone's going to have to come in and buy it all over. But I just don't understand what the benefit is to PREM. And that's what I'm really worried about. Why would they sell this up? You would do some sort of horse deal where you go bust and then you sell it on to make the money. I don't really understand why someone will come in, buy this, and then PREM's left with what? Okay, a bit of money, but where does PREM go from there if it doesn't have the asset? The Zulu thing is his main project, so I don't get that. Some sort of split deal, maybe, which wouldn't be great terms, but it would at least pump the things and give us a stability. That would be a way forward. I would be reasonably content with that. Yeah, it needs cash and it needs to be able to produce, and I can't do either, so yeah, look, there's the update on Premier African Minerals. You're probably better not asking me how I'm getting on with Premier African Minerals because there's nothing positive to say. There's going to be a further round of dilution coming up here, and I suspect there'll be more. But I do have some faith in Graham Hill. It is not a reflection on Graham Hill. As I pointed out there, this has been 10 plus years of some of the worst management decisions you have ever seen in your entire life. And you can thank George Roach for that. So there you go. That's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, help me grow the channel. And if you want to learn to trade, and if you actually want to learn to watch indicators so you never make this mistake again, that's the type of thing that we're doing for 50 quid now in the trading course. You're more welcome to join us. And have a happy Halloween, everyone. This year I'm going to be dressing up as George Roach and going around all the doors asking for money, because that is by far the scariest thing that I have seen this last few years. Peace.